lead singer named Justin Moore.
We don't do a whole lot of bullshitting up here. We just get up here and play country music. Hey guys, today's podcast is sponsored by Bobcat Company. Check them out at bobcat.com.
Hello, check, 1, 2. Yep, my green meter's on, my red meter's on, and I got squiggly lines. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Justin Moore Podcast. I'm your old buddy, old pal, JR the Handler, and with me this week from our home studios, respectively in Alabama and Arkansas, was my buddy, your favorite singing Razorback, wearing red and black today, Justin Moore. How is it going, Just? You good?
Yeah, it's really good. You mentioned we were at our houses. We weren't supposed to be.
I know.
But here we are. We and as he said, thank you guys for tuning back in. Glad to be back with you today from home, because we were supposed to be in California right now, and we were gonna do our damnedest to get a podcast out there for you guys for the week, but it was gonna be fairly difficult in order to pull it off. But no, we were actually supposed to be out in the San Jose area.
Yeah, a little south of San Jose.
Yeah, for a benefit acoustic show that I've done, I don't know, 6, 7 years maybe in a row now, and it's benefited different things over the years, but it's a really cool setup at a winery. We've done it a lot. It's a whole lot of fun with great radio station out there, KRTY, friends of mine who run the station, and we just kind of have taken over that show as our own, I guess.
Yeah, you've been doing it as long as... Yeah, you've done it as long as I've known you, just about.
Yeah, and so it's a fun deal to do. We've even taken vacations out there to wine country because the show is at a winery. It's anyway. But this year we were adding, in addition to that show, we were adding our inaugural Justin Moore benefit golf tournament as well. Just try to raise some extra cash, and that's going to happen now in about three weeks, because we woke up at my house on Sunday, this past Sunday, on the bus.
Yep.
8 and 9 o'clock in the morning. We're going to be here for a few hours, and then we got to jet off to the airport to fly out there. And JR wakes up, or we start talking about it that morning in the driveway in my bus, and he goes, all these flights are canceled.
Yeah,
I
wake up to a text from Steph and Roger, your guitar players, saying, "Hey, buddy, I just got a text saying my flight was canceled." And I'm like, "Stand by, let me look into this." So I look into it, then I get up and I'm getting out of my bunk, and then there's you and Eddie, and I'm like, "Hey, so all these flights keep getting canceled, and there's none for later, there's none for tomorrow."
Yeah.
Anyway, and yeah.
Well, we ended up finding out it's because of, I'm sure now everybody listening to this has seen this on the news, unless you've been, I don't know, haven't been around the TV or whatever. But I guess you probably know the explanation better than I do, JR, but Southwest, there are a lot of reasons why they said, but Southwest, from all of the research we've done, I guess was trying to implement a vaccine mandate, like on their employees, and from pilots to air traffic controllers.
At two different airports, I guess the whole air traffic team just walked off or didn't show up, and the backups didn't show up,
and a bunch of pilots, and so that started kind of a chain reaction.
And I know like 2,000 flights or something like that, or more.
Yeah, as of the day after that, when we realized, hey, we're not going to be able to do this because we can't get out there, and if we get out there, we may not get back. And so, plus, I'll be honest with you, I don't want to be out there in an airplane at 40,000 feet in the air with a disgruntled pilot or two, and some newbie air traffic controllers that they're just over here waiting in the wings for their opportunity, but they don't know what they're doing quite yet. And so anyway, I don't know that the latest I saw, it was up to like 3,000 flights that
yeah.
were canceled or some
I didn't
crazy
even-
something. So
Wow.
anyway, for those of you out there in that area who are going to be going to those events, know that we are doing them. I believe the 9th of November now, the 8th or the 9th. I believe
Yeah, I think it's the 8th. Well, here we
Okay,
go again.
yeah. Anyway,
It's either
8th or
Monday
9th.
Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah, 8th or 9th of November. So, but if you can probably Google that or look it up on KRTY's website or whatever. But anyway, that's a long-winded way of explaining why we're at our house, because we're not really supposed to, and we're pretty stoked because, I mean, we have off until the 21st, and we've had the last couple of days off, which were really much needed, to be honest with you.
I mean,
And so I'm curious how your travel home was.
oh man, dude, it was like you said. It was such a hectic morning figuring out those flights, and you and I's flight was still on, but everybody else and the players, all the personnel, everybody else has got canceled, and yeah, we were afraid to get stuck out there, so it was just kind of a whirlwind.
Ours would have gotten canceled, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, and we or at least the rebound, or got halfway or something, but I was like, well, now I got to figure out something to do. Do I drive home? Do I fly home? So I thought, well, I'll just get a flight tomorrow. So I found one seat left on a Delta flight through Atlanta to get me back to Pensacola from Little Rock. So I went ahead and got that sucker. And I went and stayed at that Fairfield at the airport in Little Rock. And literally, like you said, I was just so exhausted. I mean, I had my laptop in my lap, but I couldn't even hardly move. I was so tired. So I got up early Monday morning and or Sunday morning. Was it Sunday? No, Monday morning. Early Monday morning yesterday. Yeah, still need some rest. Still don't know what day it is. It's Tuesday as we record this, October 12th. Yeah, through Atlanta, back home, pretty standard issue, packed flight. Food. There was food because it was early in the day, but it was long lines everywhere and stuff. Got back to Pensacola. Reese picked me up. Got home. Stopped by the Floribama. They were out of oysters. My favorite place in the world was out of oysters. They were getting some in like 2 hours. The truck was coming, and I'm like, I just want some right now. I need to get on home. So anyway, we pulled through, and it was funny. I get out, and I'm standing there at the Floribama, and I'm not even kidding. I go in there, and Allman Brothers are playing as I'm sitting down and talking to the bartender who I know, and then I realized it's not going to happen, so I go back. I'm waiting on Sharice because she went and talked to somebody at one of the other places. We met back at the truck, and while I'm waiting on her, I hear Hank Jr., "If heaven ain't a lot like Dixie," and I'm like, man, I sure do like my place here. It's my home bar. You know what I mean? It was like Allman Brothers chill inside, walk out. It's like I'm looking around like, oh, that sure is a pretty day. People on boats, white sunny sands, blue waters, palm trees. And then about that time, heaven ain't a lot like Dixie comes on in a shack on the beach. It's like,
right.
Good to be home. I'll say that to say, yeah, I was ready to get home, and it was almost euphoric trying to get back because I was just like, is this really going to happen? We're really going home? Nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
This is going home.
So
it was good
crazy
to get back, and the weather's good. We didn't every other time I've been home in the past, 3 months that we've been gone. It's not been much, but when I do get home, it's either raining or it has rained or it's about to rain, and there's water everywhere, and it's a mess. But clear skies, sunshine.
By the same token, for us, we haven't had rain in months.
Really,
like months. So
did y'all get any of those storms that came through? I saw Oklahoma when I was leaving, I saw Oklahoma had some tornadoes. Shout out, prayers to all those folks.
No, it's been nice, and I mean it's 80 degrees and sunny right now. So
right, wow,
yeah. So,
but yeah, I got home, and then you're right. I hate we didn't get to make that trip because we always look forward to that every year. Always eat good and drink good where we're at there because, like I said, it's at a winery. It's always fun. See Nate and that whole bunch, and some of our label reps, and Heath was going to come out and play before you, and Casey and that bunch. So, but it's we'll make it up. We'll get back out there. It's about like everything this year. It's just par for the course. I mean, if it ain't one thing, it's five this year. It's just every time you turn around, it's something different. I mean, I'm almost numb to it.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I mean, we literally have packed, we normally work about 9 months out of the year, give or take. Excuse me. And we've packed that much work or at least 7-8 months of work into what, 3.5,
5,
4,
maybe. Yeah.
I mean,
June, July, August, September, October. Yeah, about 5 months.
So
'Cause
5,
We started
yeah.
4.5, 5, because we started in the middle of June.
it was
I think.
late June, I think.
Yeah,
but
later in June.
I don't
'Cause
know,
July,
man.
July is when we left for the long run. We were gone like 8-9 weeks straight.
Right.
So yeah,
I mean, it's just been insanity. I mean, it's certainly we're not complaining about that at all as part of it, and it certainly beats the alternative
Absolutely.
of last year. But it has been stressful, and it's still, we've been telling people, it feels like everything's back to normal and stuff, and where we live for the most part it is and has been, but I'm telling you, traveling for your work, everything ain't back to normal yet. It's not even close. And even I would
it
say
was
the
rough enough to
majority
start with.
the majority of our shows have been fairly normal, but I mean there's still been a few that you're like, this is a little odd,
Yep.
And so but yeah, anyway, we're damn near done for the year.
Yeah.
I mean, we got another.
I think,
I
like
don't
you
know,
said,
another month maybe.
yeah.
to work.
Well, I think like we talked about earlier, and on here a few times about being in shape. I mean, being able to do it consistently at a high level, and just snap back into it after a year off. I mean, it's hard to anything. I hope nobody has to go through it, and I know a lot of people did, but to get back in shape, it's like, like these ball players, you take a year off, you got to get back in game shape. And out there with us, there is no dress rehearsal. This is the big time, and we are professionals, to quote Waylon Jennings. And there was no way to warm up before this. I mean, we had a rehearsal or two, and it was back on the road, and we did a couple acoustic shows, and then, I mean, your vocals, one thing, that's a muscle, but just the whole rigmarole of sleeping on the bus. I still hadn't got used to sleeping on the bus again.
And
eating's weird out, just the whole, used to, I could change my schedule. I'd get home off the road and I could flip my schedule into more of a routine with my wife.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I'm in this weird, I've said a bunch like Groundhog's Day. I feel like I'm just I don't even know sometimes. But I know we'll get back in shape. And I'm not complaining. Again, like you said, beats the alternative. I'm glad to be back to work. I'm glad to see all these people out on the road. Glad to see all our friends in other bands and promoters and cities and all the stuff we're getting to do again. And that makes the country music world go around. But yeah, just being out of shape is taxing. And I'm just out of shape. I mean, not to use the old. I mean, it's not like a boozer or nothing, but my liver's out of shape. Like, hell, I can't drink about one night a weekend. I mean, really, and after that, I'm good.
That's interesting. You bring up.
I've been trying.
That's interesting. You bring up the fact that you could kind of instantly fall into either situation and be ready to rock. That is so me. I was just having a conversation with Kate actually this morning about that, because it's been harder and harder to get out of bed in the morning to get the kids to school when I come off the road.
And used to, you were up no matter what.
Yeah, no matter what.
On 3 hours sleep, you were up ready.
Yeah,
always.
Like no big deal.
Yeah.
And so she actually yesterday I didn't realize it. She let me sleep in. She didn't even get me up to help with the kids. And I was like, that's the most romantic, sweetest thing you've ever done for me. Like, I'm so in love with you right now. But I got up this morning, and then I went, after I dropped them off, I laid back down because I needed to plug my phone in for a little bit. And I was just laying there reading, like you and I do on the bus.
Yep.
Not together, but
in
our own beds. And
that's what I always tell people. I ain't out of bed yet, but I'm up, and usually I'm working already. I'm slow rolling it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so she's like, you laying back down? I'm like, yeah, I think I am. I had to phone her at like 10, and I was like, I might just lay here till my phone her and get up and call them or whatever. But anyway, point being, where I was going with that is it has been more difficult for me also. And even you saw it this past weekend on the road. We had South, my little boy, and my youngest daughter, Klein, out on the road, and my dad.
Yep.
And you saw me, so obviously I wasn't partying and drinking and doing that kind of stuff, but even on the opposite end of the spectrum, I'm not used to staying up, so we're getting ready to go on stage at like 9:30 one night. I think it was Saturday night. And I'm like, I'm about to fall asleep on the bus. I'm so exhausted. I'm just like, I just want to go lay down.
Yeah.
It works even both ways, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And I haven't even been drinking on the road.
What's what I'm saying?
Hardly
out there,
at all.
You had two of the kids. You had your dad. So I mean, it's ball game Saturday. All the stuff we've done 2 shows already. First one being a hometown show, Boys and Girls Club event, which went great. Thanks everybody for participating in that. Look forward to doing that again. But then did 2 shows, but having dad, like you said, just talking, just catching up with your dad and just talking all throughout the day. Because you and I'll lay there hours. You'd be in the back.
I've been saying a word to each other.
Just for an hour. Hey, what do you think about this? Yeah, blah blah blah. Okay, cool. An hour later, you want to watch a Western? Okay, yeah. But anyway, and then having to wrangle the kids because they want to go do stuff. Y'all went to the zoo. Y'all did some other fun things. Went and got ice cream and this and that. And so even that, you're just not used to that routine. And on top of all of it, you told me you were hoarse. Your throat was a little hoarse that night, and you just were tired. And I was the same way. I was like, I am too. I'm exhausted. I went and did a shot of tequila. Because my dad and kids weren't there still with me. I snuck over the band bus, did a shot of tequila just because I was like, I got to wake up. I got to do something. I got to shock the system back into getting going because it seemed like I should have had plenty of rest, but it was overcast that day, and it was awesome. It turned out great event.
It was really cool.
Palmyra, Missouri, the Down for Country event to raise for Down syndrome awareness and stuff was awesome.
It really was. It was a great setup.
Yep.
Really neat. A great crowd too. I don't know how many people. There's a lot. It was literally it'd be like putting a concert on in my cow pasture. I mean, it was literally what it was.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of the Fontanelle in Nashville without the infrastructure. So, but a little deeper. I mean, there had to be. I can't remember because it was a flat thing.
4,000 or 5,000. Maybe?
I think more than that. Like they were expecting 5 or 6. So I bet it's the high end of that somewhere. Yeah. So, but it was awesome. But it was just it's like I said, it's harder to flip the switch. It's harder to get back. It's just not back in road shape yet, and we will. But that's
we'll have a much more. Ideally, we'll have a much more normal schedule next year, where we won't be out for weeks at a time like we were this year. I mean, we've never done that, so I think that'll help too, and that'll help us flip that switch from one, home to the bus to the, back home and all that. We'll go out and play 2-3 shows a weekend, and then get back.
Because I know people ask me about touring schedule. How do you set up the schedules and all that? Like, obviously, that's not just something Justin and I write down and figure out we want to do. It's a lot of agents and managers involved. Mm-hmm. But the difference in how we tour and like a rock band or certain other artists tour is they'll go, a lot go out for an album or a certain thing and just tour that for 4 or 5 months nonstop. Well, we do more of the work all year long. We don't take, a year off like, big rock acts or pop acts do some, or months off at a time. We pretty much work all year long. We take the holidays off, and that's a lot to do with just Justin's got the 4 small children, and it's home time, and you don't want to miss that, which is part of the reason I love work for you and always have, is because that's important, and it really is. And a lot of people forget about that until it's too late. So I'm glad you take advantage of it now. But we make sure to do that. But we work pretty much all year long. I mean, you take a week off for whenever your kids need one, spring break, and then this and a anniversary or a wedding or something. Mm-hmm. But most of the time we just work all year long and a couple nights a week instead of 7 nights a week for 2 months. We work 3 weekends a month. 2-3-4 shows a weekend, and so for us, we actually kind of did more of that rock and roll schedule this year. We did 5 months of just basically nonstop. I mean, go home a little here and there, because we're all continental U.S. shows. But I mean, even us, we were so far in the U.S. a few times that we couldn't get home.
I definitely enjoy the way we do it more.
Yeah,
I don't know how
it just makes sense.
Rock acts do it, man. I mean, they'll literally leave and not come home for 4 months or something.
Yeah,
or whatever. I just couldn't do it. I mean, I guess if I were single, it would be one thing, or if we didn't have kids and Kate could just come out with me and we'd go, but
Or you could bring them. I mean, you could bring them all the time now and school them on the road and all that. But that's just not what you choose. You choose to do.
I just want them to have. I want them to have a normal upbringing. You know, I don't want my decision to do this for a living to affect their childhood. And that's not to say you couldn't have an awesome childhood the other way, but I want them to be able to make those decisions down the road after they've had a normal childhood, whether they want to do something like this with their life.
Right.
And so
because they come on the road some, and they like the idea of it, but usually by the time they get out there, unless they're going to do something fun, they don't really love being out there.
Yeah. No. The reason why they like coming with me, because at home, even me at home, we don't give them Cokes and candy bars and all that stuff, and you know, it's more I don't know. It's more just basic everyday life stuff at home.
Yeah, a little more structured, normal.
Yeah, a little more structured. And so when they come out with me, I let them just drink Cokes and eat crap and take them to the zoo, take them to a theme park, take them, you know, to the movies. And, you know, usually it's a fair or something going on.
Yep.
And so, but yeah.
So that's the difference in what we're doing. So we've done it different this year. Next year, hopefully, everything gets back a little more normal than it even is now, and we get to get back to our normal schedule. I know I'm looking for it. And we'll give a shout out to everybody over all the seas there, to all of our listeners outside the United States. Thank y'all always for tuning in. I watch the numbers every couple of weeks, and I see everybody tuning in Switzerland and Australia and London, the UK, France, a lot of countries. A lot of them I don't even barely know where they're at. But thank you guys for listening.
Yeah,
and I'm talking about that. We actually had talked about there's potential we may be doing some shows this year out of the country. I don't know if it's going to work out or not this coming year, but we're finally over the hump, and we are going to at least. I don't know what's the word I'm looking.
Trying to.
Yeah, we're trying to. We're gonna go now. Yeah, we're gonna go at some point now. We made our mind up. We're accepting the fact that yes, we are gonna go at some point. So.
Yeah, I know we've had questions on here, and I don't know specifically where they've been from, but what JR's alluding to, I was actually going to bring it up. I'm glad you brought it up. Is we're actually working through some plans right now, if they all come together, which. I certainly hope that they do, to go to Australia next year. And I don't even remember when that is. Obviously it's a ways from now, but we're looking at the possibility of doing a tour over there. And what we found out, I think, is outside of the U.S., and the only places we've been outside of the U.S. to play music have been Mexico and Canada. And so they've always been really, really good to us there. But what we found out through this whole thing is our music is consumed, as far as a foreign country to us, it's consumed more in Australia than any other country, which is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know they like music over there. But to hear that, I mean, of all of the places that could be second to the States here, you know, the fact that Australia is second is pretty cool to hear. And obviously it's one of those places that, I mean, I've always dreamed of being able to go and visit. You know, I think it's about a week of flying. Yeah. But,
it actually does. It does surprise me, really, because I know some Australians. I've got buddies, Colin and a couple other Australians I've met over the years. And I've, you know, in McConaughey's book, when he talks about being in Australia and stuff, it makes total sense to me. They are rough and tough. They love drinking beer. Yeah. They love getting rowdy. So.
Yeah, I don't know that it's surprising to me, but it's just kind of neat.
Yeah, definitely.
To know that and see the numbers and, you know, we're talking streaming numbers and airplay on radio and that kind of stuff over there. So,
yeah.
You know, if we do that, I'll take Kate and the kids. And, I mean, that's kind of a once-in-a-lifetime type deal, you know, as a family to get to go do that. I mean, maybe not. Maybe it'll turn into an every other year thing or something. Right. I don't know. But for our fans over there, if any of you guys are listening, That's something we're working on right now. So
Yeah, and I've got a spot on that. Somebody had sent me a message. I'm gonna find it. I thought about I could do this real quick because I do want to touch on sports. We're not going to just purposely leave out sports because both our teams lost this week.
I thought we were.
Yeah, right. I thought we were going to not do the podcast. You heard what I said? After Bama lost the other day, I was like, no podcast this week. I ain't even dealing with this. I'm going to hibernate for a few weeks till we win again. But anyway, we'll get on that. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But I thought about real quick because I know I'd got some questions and comments, and I've got a bunch piled up, but I thought I'd just buzz through some now off of my phone. While
we haven't done it in a while.
Yeah, I know.
And hey, before
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I thought we'd go through some of these and just hit some up I've got here that I don't have written down on my notepad yet.
I want to give a quick shout out to Bobcat Company, who really does make a job, any job that is, easier. They got everything from skid steers to compact tractors, utility vehicles, zero-turn mowers, and everything in between. Their products are designed to make your lives easier. I like that. Which means spending more time with your family and doing the other fun things you love. Y'all know how big of a deal that is to me. Make sure you visit bobcat.com to see what products might be a good fit for your property. Hey, what's up, guys? Justin Moore here. I want to remind everyone out there listening that my wife, Kate, has an awesome children's clothing boutique in downtown Benton, Arkansas. It's Central Arkansas. So if you're local, come see us at 119 West South Street in downtown historic Benton, Arkansas. Again, that's 119 West South Street in Benton, Arkansas. And if you're not local, we ship everywhere. So you can find us at shopthislittlepiggy.com and see all that we have to offer, all that my wife Kate has to offer, I should say. Facebook, you can find us at shopthislittlepiggyAR, and Instagram, you can find us at shopthislittlepiggyAR. But check us out. It's called This Little Piggy, and see what we got to offer. Shopthislittlepiggy.com.
Hi, y'all. This is Brandon Bing, singer-songwriter and whiskey maker. You're tuning into the Justin Moore Podcast. Visit EasyLiquor.com to grab your bottle of Bangtail Whiskey and join the Blue Collar Swaller family today. Follow us on all socials at Bangtail Whiskey for more news and updates. Now pour Jigger and take this 8-second ride with us.
Hey, gang. As y'all have heard, the Justin Moore Podcast has recently teamed up with Wrangler. Wrangler has been an icon in authentic American style around the world for more than 70 years. With a rich legacy rooted in the American West, Wrangler commits to offering unmatched quality and timeless design. As y'all have heard me and Justin talk about on here, George Strait and Alan Jackson, they're Wranglers. We wear Wranglers too. Its collections are also for men and women, children, to look and feel great, inspiring those who wear them to be strong and ready for life every day. Wrangler is available in retail stores worldwide, including brand flagship stores in Denver and Dallas, department stores, mass market retailers, specialty shops, Western outfitters, and online. For more information, visit Wrangler.com. And you know you've heard it here, and you've seen it on stage, the Justin Moore Podcast. Dang glad to be partnered up with Wrangler because we're big fans and have been for a long, long time. Can't go wrong with a nice pair of Wranglers, y'all. I wear the Wrangler Retro. Justin wears the black one some. It's my go-to. I get mine at Academy. So if you're around an Academy or just about anywhere, you can get you a pair of Wranglers, whether you want to look like George Strait, or you want to look like JM, or you want to look like me. You can get you some Wranglers, and you can do that. Whether you're in North California or South Alabama or Montana, Texas, Ohio, Wyoming, wherever, a pair of Wranglers will get the job done. Long live cowboys and plowboys. For more information, visit Wrangler.com.
Cool.
All right. First one I got here is from TJ Norman, JM and JR. This popped up on my Facebook memories today from 12 years ago. 3 of my faves. Wish I still had the Country Weekly when Justin just released Back That Thing Up. Missed you and Casey earlier this month, but glad to have the podcast. He had posted something on his Facebook that said, heading out to see Gary Allen, Eric Church, and Justin Moore at Starlight 12 years ago.
Wow.
In September. Pretty cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah, our buddy Steve Finley. What's up, Steve? Sends this, the next number one. Well done, brother. Awesome song. Referring to With a Woman You Love when it popped out.
Thanks, buddy. Steve, actually, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, it's over here, back here. The big one in the middle, in the back. The big one. Steve gave me that as a gift a while ago.
Oh, very cool.
Years ago.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
This plaque is what I'm talking about. If you guys can see it, I don't know. But anyway, side note.
Consciously
For those listening, I was pointing at a plaque that you can only see if you're watching this on YouTube, which, by the way, go do.
Yep, you should go to YouTube. Definitely should watch this on
So
YouTube.
anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, and
Sorry,
spread the
I
word
threw
about
you
the
off
Justin Moore
course there.
podcast for sure. Yeah, y'all remember to use the hashtag Justin Moore podcast. Spread the word. We need you to, and those reviews and likes and all that stuff definitely helps. So y'all keep them coming. I got one here. I'll try to go back to. This one is conscious. This is Austin Husk saying consciously playing with the woman you love on repeat over and over again. JM does it again with another great song.
Thank you.
This is from our buddy Derek Oquan. This must have been from the Georgia game. Give Justin 2 shots. Wait, now 3. Oh, this is one I wanted to hit.
Hey, I don't need as many as you, Derek.
Yeah,
this
right.
year.
Yeah,
Woo.
they good. They stay that way. You know how they are. We got some crown roll.
I need to. I'd be curious to know what his thoughts are on Coach O and that situation down there at LSU.
Oh, that's
just
if it wasn't as R-rated as it is. My text thread with my Louisiana, my probably 10 or 12 good Louisiana buddies in Houma. I just saw the highlights from the last couple of weeks. I'm like, boy, yeah, you can imagine he's on the hot seat.
It's just crazy that it can happen that fast after the season they had a couple years ago. I mean, arguably the greatest college football season of all time. I mean, it's just insane.
Got to keep your head. You got to keep your head in the game. You know.
Woo.
Maybe he's got too many extracurricular activities. Who knows?
Very well. Good. We don't know nothing. We're just speculating. I don't know.
Hey, I'm just saying it's a possibility. I'm not saying it's probable. I'm just saying it's possible. Anyway, our old buddy Kyle Evans here. This is a good one, and I want to definitely hit on this because we talked about it a little bit over the last couple of weeks. JR, my 17-year career with the railroads soon may end. Ready for something new. Having run sound for local bands, helping rig stages for local events, and I'm accustomed to traveling. What advice do you have to getting into working on the road with an artist, band, etc.? So what I was going to say and what I hit him back on Twitter and said was, first off, right now, immediately, if you've got any tech experience, I'd reach out to one of the companies in Nashville and let them know you're a tech and see what the qualifications are. That and or if you have a CDL, if not get a CDL, get on one of the bus companies and be a co-driver and learn to be a bus driver because those two jobs are in very high demand right now.
I mean, now I will say, which I think you just said just in a different way, now's probably the easiest time that I can remember ever to go get a job, in the music business.
Yep.
Traveling. I mean, it's near impossible to find qualified employees. And so if you're willing to travel and go do it and be reliable and be willing to take constructive criticism if that's what it calls for out there to learn specifically with whomever you get a gig.
Yep.
Right now would be a good time to do it, that's for sure.
Yeah, like you said, it's probably there's more open spots right now than there ever has been. Everybody's touring again because everybody took the year off, so everybody's back out trying to get back out, or at least rehearsing to get back out. And
a lot of people just decided after last year they didn't want to go do this anymore. They found another thing at home.
Yep.
Maybe they like being at home. Maybe they found another opportunity, whatever.
Yep.
And so there's the supply certainly does not meet the demand right now. I mean, it's not even close. And JR touched on it in particular. If you work for the railroad, I don't know if you happen to have been a conductor or if that even translates at all. I don't know. But, yeah, bus driving, I mean, it's a struggle every single week for us because now we have to have co-driver. Yeah, for everybody. I mean, we know people who have had to cancel tour dates because there was literally no one to drive their bus.
Yeah, I get 4 or
Which is
5 calls a
insane.
week from tour managers and production managers and managers.
So
and stuff.
anyway,
But yeah, I say that, and then also too on a local level. This is what I've always told people when I meet them in person: start local. Find your favorite rock venue or country music dance hall or arena or a local
whatever.
promoter, an amphitheater or somewhere like that that does real concerts, touring concerts, and big shows. And put in to be a runner. Maybe just contact the venue directly or find out who the promoter is or, look at the bottom of the poster and see who's putting on the show. Reach out to them. Because I know even there, we're struggling with that on the road as well. They need runners. They need caterers. They need production assistants, backstage help, things like that. So reach out to your local venue. That's a good way to start. And, I know – I've listened on podcasts. I know a few personally that's exactly where they started. They started off being a runner or a catering
great foot
contact,
in the door.
and now they're a manager or something. I mean,
And
my buddy,
if you're a runner, here's the other thing. Here's a little inside information for you. If you're a runner, the people that you meet that day are it's incredible contacts for our business. I mean, you could they would be driving myself around, JR around.
Yep. First person they would talk
anybody
to
and everybody.
Yeah, first person they talk to would be the promoter, which is going to have all the shows that come through town, and then me and Tanner. You're going to meet the tour manager or the assistant tour manager or whoever's in charge of the runners that day, and that's a good way.
Taking me to the golf course,
right?
Or whatever.
Zoo,
I mean, that's
if there's 3 acts, that's 3 tour managers, 3 different. So. I always say that find somewhere local that you like and go that route because I know again right now everybody needs help in all those areas.
Yeah.
So check that out. Thanks for dropping that, Kyle. Hope that helps, buddy.
Good luck.
Yep. Bees.
Maybe we'll see you on the road.
Yeah. Hey, get CDL'd up. Reach back out to me and I'll get you in touch with somebody who you can go learn how to drive a bus with. Beezus 505 might just buy 5 acres of farmhouse and paint them bright white.
I like it.
What's the other one I saw here? That's gonna go another one. Our probably one of our top podcast listeners and supporters here, my brother Paul Bad Company Rogers. Sent us this. Said, I watched the latest episode pod this afternoon. Kate was a blast. Always enjoyable when she's on. I have a sports cue. Do you think Talladega should have lights? Justin's new single is great.
Do you want to start there since that's your stomping ground, or?
I mean, golly, I don't know. I don't know if it needs lights. I think it's rowdy enough without keeping it overnight. Because I mean, that would just push the after party into even earlier in the next morning. That's my party guy opinion. That doesn't have anything to do with racing, but
I don't know. I'm kind of a traditionalist.
Yeah.
I love the Bristol race at night, for example.
Yes.
And I think the atmosphere is super cool. I haven't gotten to go, but I would love to go. But I'll give you an example of my traditionalism. Like, I don't like changing uniforms with a sports team or whatever, use Oregon for example, how they do all the crazy wacky uniform stuff. Like, that's not my thing. Like, I like how, take Alabama for example. They haven't changed their uniform in ever, as far as I know. Arkansas has some, which kind of irritates me. They're finally back to their super traditional uniforms, and I hope they never go away. Which is ironic because they almost look identical to Alabama or vice versa. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, where I'm going with that, Talladega is such an iconic track, and I don't know if I'd touch it. I mean,
I'm the same.
For me personally. Yeah. I mean, obviously you put a night race there under the lights, I'm going to be tuned in, or I'm going to make sure I get to go, and I'm sure it would be awesome. But I'm kind of a traditionalist. They didn't put lights in the original Yankee Stadium, or at least for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Personally, it took them a while to do that at Wrigley. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I kind of like it too because that makes them different. Some do, some don't. that's the uniqueness of each one. If they're all the same, then
Yeah.
it'll be like you said, it'll be exciting, and then after a few runs, it'll just be the norm. It won't be exciting. I mean, it'll still be exciting, but
It would allow them to have a couple of different style of races per year if they wanted, but
right.
I don't know. I don't know that it's certainly not necessary. That's for sure.
It's just C-Bake 2124 on Instagram. JR, me and my uncle are jamming to some JM, drinking cold bush lattes. You guys are effing awesome. Thanks, C-Bake.
Thank you. I love it.
Let me see if I can find this one here.
Bush latte.
Yep. Trying to think if I had something else I wanted to mention. Oh, something I randomly saw today. I thought I'd let everybody know. If you're in the Baton Rouge, Louisiana area or anywhere around there, they are about to start filming a movie called Sacred Motivation, and it's got Denzel Washington in it. So if you're in the area and want to be an aspiring actor or actress, they're now looking for extras and personnel for that. Go to Central Casting probably or somewhere like that. That's who I do my stuff with. I miss that. I used to do that before the world went crazy. I used to go do some background acting in New Orleans and stuff, and I really enjoyed it. And I hope they start doing more around here so I can get in on some of that.
No, you miss going and sitting there playing on your phone for the whole day in silence and getting paid for it.
Ain't no better work than ain't no better work than fake work, my brother. Hey, I was there. I was ready. When they call my number, let's do it. Actually, I hope there's a movie I think just came out that I actually was a background in that was filmed in Montgomery. I need to see. It was Spike Lee joint. See if I can pick myself out in the movie, and we'll get a clip, put that up. That's really all I had on questions, Jess. I got a bunch more, but I've already got those written down. I don't want to double them and ask them again. But I don't know if you want to while we're there, if we wanted to hit on sports. I know we've got baseballs rocking. I had a question from a guy. Are the Brewers still in the playoffs?
They are. They're actually playing the Braves.
Okay, well, that's what he was talking about then. He wants to – let me find this guy. If you want to start talking about a little bit about baseball, and I'll find this. And
yeah, so yeah, we're in the Final Four basically of baseball. So for those who don't pay attention until it's nut cutting time, we're there. And so the most compelling thing to me is that the Red Sox they were a 4 seed and beat the 1 seed in the Rays, and the Rays had a great season, so that was kind of shocking to me. But the rest of the stuff is pretty much standard issue, except for our Braves, man. If you'd have told me back in July, August, June, July, whatever, that the Braves would be in the conversation for making the World Series, I mean, if they can go ahead and polish off the Brewers, they got one more series to win, and they're in the World Series. I would have thought you were on some kind of crazy, awesome drugs or something.
Right.
I mean, I would have never believed that. We lost our best player.
right.
So anyway, pretty neat.
Yeah.
Pretty neat stuff.
It was
But
pretty
y'all
bleak
check
early.
that out. There'll be games going on for the next week or two or whatever.
Yeah, it was pretty bleak early on. I mean, we were under 500, then we got to 500, then they just went on a roll. And losing Acuna, I mean, it was
They did. There was a lot of that this year. I think about the Cubs, who lost their, if I'm not mistaken, they lost their one game wild card. I believe to the Dodgers, if I'm not mistaken, and but they won like 17 in a row at one point at the end of the year to clinch that spot. And so that's kind of the cool thing at the end of the year in baseball. The gripe about Major League Baseball and even college to some extent is that the seasons are so long that people lose interest. But it's kind of cool that when you get down to the end of it, and they've played so many games, and it comes down to like literally one game at the end of the year after all these games, it's pretty amazing. So yeah, I'm excited to see how it finishes up, and I'd love to see the Braves and the Red Sox. I've kind of always rooted for the Red Sox on the American League side. Had some buddies that played there, and so that would be kind of a cool World Series, I think.
Yeah, no doubt. like you said, it's that time where it's getting interesting. It's fall. I mean, it's time. I mean, it's here, and it's going to be a good one. And I'm with you too. If you'd have told me the Braves were going to be at this spot, I would have never believed it. I thought we had a good chance early on, but then, like I said, we couldn't get our record up above 500, and everybody else was playing really well too. And now here we are. So
here they are.
Speaking of playing well, sometimes not playing well other times. Both of our Crimson and Cardinal teams lost this past weekend, which was heartbreaking. You guys lost by 1 point. We lost by 3.
Mm-hmm. All right, and moving on.
So
no,
I'm glad Granger Smith or Chase Bryant, none of the Aggie guys, wanted to put me on that bet, because I would have taken them on it, and I would have had to have donned their colors today, and I don't because I didn't make the bet. But they got us. Good job, Aggies. You got us. We'll be back, though. We'll be back.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think it's hard to argue that Georgia's not the best team in the country right now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they just looked the part. They just have looked so dominant. Their defense is one of the best I've ever seen in college, and certainly the best I've seen in person. I mean, it's just they fly to the ball. They're physical. I mean, they've got monsters on the offensive or the defensive line. It'll be interesting to see if somebody can stop their run and make JT Daniels, their quarterback, throw to win the game. I think he's got the skill set, but I don't know if they have enough pieces on the outside if it comes to that.
Right.
And
against a top-tier defense.
You guys are probably the only ones who can even maybe do that to them. Maybe Kentucky. Kentucky's 6-0. They play this coming weekend. I don't think Kentucky's got the horses to go up against Georgia and actually beat them. I think it'll be a pretty decent game. Or somewhat competitive for a while at least.
I think they've got a good shot. Like I said, I think Kentucky looks good. I hope they, several years ago, I remember they started out
they definitely
6-0 and then dropped their next 6, but hopefully they don't have a repeat of that. But, their grass is blue, so they've got a shot.
Yeah. But all that being said, I said this on a radio show, sports show yesterday, there's nothing more dangerous than a Nick Saban Alabama team over the last decade plus that has lost a game. I told you that on the bus the other night when they got beat. I said, now he's going to really be able to coach and get these kids' attention. If he didn't before, because they did some stuff in that game, JR, that was just uncharacteristic. I mean, dropping some passes that they don't drop and leaving receivers wide open in the middle of the field and getting beat. Their secondary got beat on some they being Alabama's secondary got beat, and you just don't see that a lot with Alabama. And the other thing, especially from a team that's they're still playing a backup quarterback, and they just haven't played well this year. They had lost to Mississippi State and us in back-to-back weeks, and I don't know. That was very surprising to me, but they put it together, and the home crowd was really good for them. But I think Nick will be able to get their attention even more so than he's had. And it seems like every time they do get a loss, Alabama under Saban, sometime in the year, they go win it all.
Yeah,
I mean, it really seems like that.
Fingers crossed that happens again this year. We've got our old rival Tennessee this week, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, and they can put up some points. I don't think they'll stop you guys, but then to touch on our game, it was a look. If I remove myself from being a fan of Arkansas and obviously being bummed out that we lost the game, that was just an incredible college football game. I mean, especially if you like offense. We could not stop them, and they could not stop us. I mean, ever. Like, never. I don't know if there was 3-4 punts in the game. We put the ball on the ground, fumbled one time when we would have went in and got 7 or at least 3. That hurt us. We missed a 50-yarder. They turned the ball over on downs one time, going for it on their own, I think, 34-yard line, so that's the same as a turnover. But their 50-yarder, they made. So that's the difference in the game right there. And so, but there were a number of plays that could have changed it. And if you didn't see the game, Ole Miss beat Arkansas 52-51, and at the end of regulation, we scored to get within one. We could have kicked a PAT and gone into overtime. We elected to go for 2, which I agree with that because, again, we hadn't stopped them at all. And now the overtime rules are such in college that in the second overtime you have to start going for 2. So odds are you're going to have to convert a 2-point conversion to win the ball game.
Yep.
So you got it right here at the 2.5-yard line. Here's your chance right here. All you got to do is convert it.
Yep. And you had
we
the
ran
momentum.
A play that,
I mean, you know.
we had all the momentum. We kind of had them reeling. I didn't particularly. I'm not a coach. Didn't play football. I do know the game, but I didn't love our 2-point play call, especially out of a timeout. You know, a lot of times you see, JR, a lot of these or at least some of the 2-point conversions you see when you absolutely have to have it, need it, whatever. A lot of times you see it just be so easy. Like, you know, you're running everything to one side, and then a tight end sneaks out the other side, and he's not got anybody within 30 yards of him or something. So I'm like, you would like to think, okay, we got one of those up our sleeve. But we ran a play that we had actually scored a touchdown on earlier in the game.
Went back to the
Looked
well.
like they were ready for it. The only play we had, and he was open. I've watched it since. We had a little shuttle pass wide open to the guy in the middle, you know, like a shovel pass, whatever they call that, like a little flip to a running back, and he would have just literally walked in. But quarterback didn't see that. But here's the thing. Here's what I would have done, and I don't get paid millions of dollars to be the coach, so nobody's asking my opinion. But early in the first half, our quarterback is 6'4", 6'5", almost 250. And just kind of a freak athlete at that size. He had jumped from the 5-yard line and went horizontal to the ground and scored, dove into the end zone. For a 2-point conversion, we get the ball in the 2.5. I mean, if there's any play that we have that gets him just a little bit of space to get to the 2-yard line, he just dives in, and physically, I don't care how big the guys are trying to defend it, you just can't stop him from breaking the plane with the football.
Right.
Like, and if you did, then hey, tip your cap to him, and that's an amazing play. So I would have loved to have seen something like that where he had a run option, and he very well may have, and it didn't show on camera. But nonetheless, that's a little too technical for people out there listening, I'm sure. But it was a great football game. We played our tails off, but we got to sure some things up on defense, no doubt about that. Because if you give up 52, that's just not winning football.
Right.
But I was proud of our offense and how we played and how we competed. And from this point forward, what I'm excited about, I mean, we're really through the meat of our schedule, the most difficult part of our schedule. You know, we played. I mean, we've played, I think, 3 or 4 top 15, top 20 teams in a row.
Right.
Or 4 out of 5 or something stupid. From this point on, outside of the Alabama game, we'll be favored in every game we're in.
Right.
So there's a real possibility we go 9-3. Hey, we slip up and somehow miraculously beat y'all. We go 10-2. And we might win the West.
Right.
With 10-2.
Right.
I mean, you just don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't see that happening, but 9 to me is a real possibility.
Yeah.
So
well, this week should be a good one. You got Auburn at your house. I thought we played Tennessee this week. We go to Mississippi State this week. My Troy Trojans got Texas State. Hey, big win for the Saints this past weekend. Enjoyed that. Who Dat Nation represent up against the Washington football team. Bunch of former Bama players on that defense. Sorry, I didn't get it done. But who dat? Titans won. Steelers win?
they did, actually. They were on a 3-game losing streak and finally pull one out against who Who did they play? I just watched it.
I was traveling.
I forget who they played, but it ended up being a closer game than it should have. We were up pretty big, but yeah, we pulled it out. So 2-3, and you know, I don't know if you watched Monday Night Football last night, but it was an incredible comeback by the Ravens.
Y'all played Denver because Najee got me.
Denver, that's right.
Najee got me 24 points.
Yeah, he had a good game. He went over 100 yards and.
Yeah, phenomenal Monday night football game. Carson Wentz, our Bobcat buddy, also sponsored by Bobcat. We're going to have him on the podcast next year when the season winds down.
Yeah, it wasn't his fault they lost the game, that's for sure.
Man, you could tell he was disappointed they were going to line up try to kick that field goal too. After Campbell had already blocked one, and that kicker, poor guy, he was scared to kick it over there. Campbell was through again. He was going to block it again if he'd have kicked it straight, so he shanked it and missed the field goal. But got to give it up to him.
And it wasn't super long.
No.
I mean, it was like 40 yards
38
or something
yards.
like that.
Yeah, it wasn't crazy. But you got to give it up to Lamar Jackson. What a competitor. And the Ravens.
I think he had 434 passing yards. Some stupid
and 490-something total, I think. Almost 500
Yeah,
total.
and then like 50 or 60 on the ground. And of course, being a Steelers fan, they're in our division and our biggest rival. So I'm like, yes, they'll get this loss. That'll help us.
Yeah.
We won. We'll pick up a game here. No, they come back. And I think they had to have in the fourth quarter. I think
they were down
JR,
14.
correct me if I'm wrong. They had to. I was thinking they had to have 16.
Yes, they were down 16. That's right.
They had to have 2 touchdowns and two
yep.
2-point conversions, and they got
Yep,
them.
because I looked at Sharice. We were sitting on the back patio. When you'd actually text me and asked if I made it home, I was like, yep, on the back porch. I looked at Sharice and said, they going to have to get a touchdown. If they go down here and get a field goal, it's gonna be tough. They got to, and she goes, yep, they got to get 2 touchdowns and 2 2-point conversions. And I was like,
and they damn sure
it's going to be
did.
tough. It was like 8 minutes left or something, but they dang sure did. And, I mean, what a game.
He was off the charts.
And
though.
that tight end.
That guy was just.
The tight end, Anderson, number 89.
Yeah.
Huge game.
Yeah, it was kind of a coming out party for him. He had really never done.
And, I got a buddy. Shout out to my.
I was not familiar
me either.
with him.
And I told Sharice to look on our fantasy app to see how many points he had. I was like, I'm sure nobody's got him. Shout out to my buddy Brady Morgan, Green Bowl Packers in our fantasy league. He had him starting this week. And I was like, hey, look at Brady coming through out of nowhere thinking, I mean, it just.
Wow.
Yeah.
Outside the box.
I mean, really. So he had 50-something points. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Who's got Lamar Jackson? Because whoever had Lamar last night had some crazy points.
Somebody has him in this league. I have him in my keeper league, which I don't keep up with as much as I don't have an app, which I've got to talk to.
Let me guess, you didn't start him this past week.
No, I had him in. I think he was one of my saving graces. I don't get on there and check as much. I'm building that team for the future. I'm building it with all Alabama guys in a couple years. My dream will come.
And Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I'm going to let him help with points till one of my Bama guys steps. But Jalen's been doing great. Mac didn't have many points this week. 2 was out. AJ's hurt. So none of my Bama guys are really playing at a high. I mean, got to give it up to Mac Jones, a rookie quarterback coming in. He's leading a team that's a perennial powerhouse, and he's keeping them relevant and in the games.
What's weird about the Patriots, man, they went out and spent all kinds of money this year and got all kinds of playmakers, and they're just not crushing it.
Uh-uh.
I don't know if they have injuries or what. Because Jones is playing well.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a great game last Monday
against
night.
Brady, yeah.
Against Brady. He played just as well as Brady did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Almost. So, anyway, shout out to them, all those teams and everybody. Hope nobody's hurt. Everybody makes it back next week. Let's see here. What was I going to do this? Raiders got to get a new coach. Kyrie may not play. I was just going to do a little quick thing here. This week in country music, I thought a couple cool things here before we get out of here. In 1957, the Everly Brothers were at number 1 on the country singles charts with "Wake Up, Little Susie," classic song there by the Everly Brothers. In 1970,
wake up, little Susie, wake up.
1973, the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame added Don Gibson, Jack Clement, Harlan Howard, Roger Miller, Ed and Steve Nelson, and Willie Nelson. What a lineup there of songwriting son guns there.
It just makes me you said who Clement?
Cowboy Jack Clement.
Jack Clement. Are you sure? See, to Sharice and Kate, that would be
Claymont.
Cowboy Jack Claymont.
Claymont. That's my buddy Mark Claymont's kinfolk. Bruh. The movie in 1984, the movie Songwriter, which I have not seen.
Never heard of it.
I hadn't either, but you can bet your bottom dollar I will be ordering this on Amazon this afternoon or on something. The movie Songwriter, directed by Alan Rudolph and starring Willie Nelson and Chris Christopherson, was released. The film, a satirical comedy, is loosely based on Willie Nelson's own life and finances. His song Nightlife, for example, which he sold in 1961 for $150, went on to be recorded by over 70 artists and sold more than 30 million copies. He sold that song for $150. So, yep, got to pay your taxes, boys and girls. Keep your finances straight. I don't have too many kids for you. Got a plan.
$150.
1996.
That happened a lot back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
They really a lot. I mean, like some of the biggest songs that, if we, like whatever, pick one, Amarillo by Morning.
Oh, yeah.
Something that big. That didn't happen with that song. I'm just saying, I'm using that as an example. These guys were just traveling around in their vehicles playing dance halls and stuff, and they just sell their song to somebody for a couple $100, which at the time was a lot of money, but I mean, when you think about now, like,
or they just gave people songs to get out of contracts, and I mean, I know I was reading one or listening to one the other day on Cocaine and Rhinestones podcast, excellent country music historical podcast. Was talking about George Jones. I think he gave his wife at the time some songwriting credits because he was signed to a different label, and if he'd have put them out on there, they would have got some. So he gave his wife, put it in her name like she wrote it, so she would get the money, and all, just all kinds of crazy stuff like that back in the day. 1996, Alan Jackson released Little Bitty, which has become his 14th #1 single on the U.S. Billboard Hot Country Singles and Tracks chart. The song was a leadoff single of Jackson's 5th studio album, Everything I Love. What a great record. I was in 10th grade. Boy, that was a good one. Want to give a shout out to Alan too, out there getting it, as everybody saw, and I think it was CBS Sunday Morning this past week. He came out and talked about his nerve, the disease he's got that's caused him to not get around as well as he used to. Hopefully he'll be able to live peacefully with it and get by on his day-to-day. I think it's a genetic thing. His dad had it as well or something like that. It was a chance he would get it. Yeah. I know we were wondering that, but I saw he played a show this past weekend, still rocking. I think it was Bridgestone.
He still puts on a hell of a show.
Absolutely.
I mean, hell, we were with him,
2 months ago?
2 months ago or something.
Yeah, so rock on, AJ. We love you, buddy. 2006, Freddy Fender, the Mexican-American Tejano country and rock and roll musician, died at age 69, best known for his work as a solo artist in the groups Los Super 7 and the Texas Tornadoes. He is best known for his 1975 hit Before the Next Teardrop Falls and the subsequent remake of his own Wasted Days and Wasted Nights. And I don't know if I've told that on here before, but I'll bring it up again if I hadn't, because I think it needs, in the history of time and the way we perceive things and the way things change in our country and how ridiculous some things are, just like the songs getting sold for $150. In 1961, Freddy Fender and his bass player were playing a show in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and we're in the alleyway between sets smoking a joint, and police officer came, got them, checked them down. They had 2 grams of marijuana, took them to jail, ended up sending them to prison for 3 years. He didn't get out of prison until the new governor came along, who was a former country music singer, and realized he was in there and got him out. He ended up going back and driving a truck and working in the concrete business, I believe, for a few years before he even got back into music. So one joint, one little sprig of grass that these 2 grown men,
come on, Baton Rouge,
were enjoying on their own.
Of all places.
Right. Drink, gamble, stab.
If you would have told me, even back then, like, where's probably the safest place to do this?
Yeah.
I would have probably said somewhere in Louisiana.
Yeah, alleyway in Louisiana.
South Louisiana.
Yeah, Baton Rouge. No, put Freddie Fender in prison, a work-release prison for 3 years for having 2 grams of a plant substance as a grown man until he got out. But, that's funny. I'm saying that because obviously I'm a proponent for it, but it needs to be looked at federally because there's things that can be done with it that will help a lot of people and get all these crazy bad drugs off of the streets and out of people's homes. But
all these crazy bad drugs that are prescribed
right
to people.
Right, that somehow get passed through that are making, I mean, they're just awful. But I know it wasn't that long ago, just like talking about places you think everything, it would be totally fine. Just it wasn't. It was 10 years ago or less in Las Vegas. They used to have billboards saying 1 joint 1 year. Like Vegas, where prostitution's legal and gambling is their bank, and you could do anything else you want. That's the one thing the one thing they picked out of the bunch, which I just think it's ridiculous. All of it.
Well, look, I enjoy Vegas for like 2 or 3 days, but you're basically talking about the streets of Sodom and Gomorrah. I mean,
right? Really, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, from the Bible, it's like that's crazy.
But you can't do that. So anyway, I hope federally that comes along. All the states that are pushing this thing along, good job. I think it'll help folks. It's probably I just know one day people are going to look back. How ridiculous was that? They made them not do that, and then find the reasons why they make them not do that, and why it's got the stigma it does, and this and that. Anyway, I don't want to go down that road, but just had to put that out there because when I see Freddy Fender, I always think of that. It took 3 years of this guy's life. And then luckily he got kicked out of it and came back to have these hits, and we know him beloved Freddy Fender. But that guy had to go to prison for 3 years. A grown man telling another grown man they got to go sit in a concrete and metal cage for 3 years because of having some grass on them. So I think that's ridiculous. But anyway, that's mine on that. If what was I going to do? Oh, I want to do one real quick thing here for our people on YouTube. I pick up things along the way on the road. As we know, people give us stuff, and just you accumulate things when you're traveling. I thought every now and then when I end up bringing stuff off the bus and back home, I'd show people a little glimpse into certain things I picked up along the road. A couple cool things. Yeah, a couple cool things. We get patches and coins and stuff from law enforcement and servicemen and women sometimes, and I always think they're so cool. I've got some. If anybody notices up here on my board, I've got over the years that I think are really cool. And I wear military stuff and law enforcement, first responder stuff when I travel and just in general because people give us stuff. And I'm never trying to steal valor for any of these people who do that and risk their lives to take care of us. I just showing gratitude and appreciation and support for all these individual organizations and service people. So just want to put that out there. If you see me in a police cap and a shirt, that I'm not a cop, but I support what these people and these people firsthand give me this stuff, and I talk to them at places, so I'm judging these people individually and what they do to help us. But first one I got here is Lacey Township in New Jersey, founded in 1871. Pretty cool little patch there. Next one I got here is from the Columbus, Ohio Police Department. It's got a little boat, an eagle. It's pretty kick-ass. Then I had some laminates that I'd just gotten off the bus that I'd had piled up for a while from different stuff we had done. First one I got here was cool. This is from the St. Jude Golf Classic, an all-access laminate from the Justin's inaugural St. Jude golf tournament we did in Little Rock. I'm going to keep that sucker forever. Might get you to sign it. I'll sell it on eBay one day when I'm old. Next one I got here is pretty funny. I got this from a while. I guess this was 2020, last year, before we got shut down. One of the last shows I'd went to was to see our buddy Riley Green play at the Floribama on the beach. And his laminate that week was greetings from Orange Beach. It was like a postcard. It's a picture of his dad with no shirt on, holding a fish up. So that's pretty good one there. So shout out to those guys. Next one I got here is the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix main stage, backstage pass. That was when we went and did the thing in Nashville. It was the middle of the long run, but you got up to sing Elvira with the Oak Ridge Boys.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That was awesome. Had a great time with those guys. Love the Oaks. Can't say enough about the Oaks. If you're out there and they're coming to your town, you better go see the Oaks. You don't want to miss that. That's a great band and great bunch of guys and gals over there.
Yeah.
Really next I got here, it's pretty funny.
Still pro.
Oh yeah, super pro. I mean, just something to look up. All young artists too. If you get a show and you're on the bill with them or at somewhere there, go hang. They'll talk to you. They're cool as ice water. They love talking to young guys. But you'll pick stuff up off of them just standing around them. That's how cool they are. Kind of like Charlie was, Uncle Charlie Daniels. This one's pretty funny. This is a Luke Combs All Access Pass from earlier this year when I saw them around 4th of July. And their band is figures off of South Park. So that's pretty funny with their own little characters. Pretty good idea. I think we're gonna put Roger. One of
Passed
Roger,
out on the toilet?
one of those is for ours next year. With Bobcat's approval. This is a cool one. This was fun because I love the pictures. I took some. None of my pictures I took that day made it. All Cody's did because he was there with us. But this is from our Steelers-Raiders game. Last time I'll ever get to see John Gruden coach a football game. When we went to Pittsburgh the weekend.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, and you took Ella. And, man, that was just cute, those pictures and all that stuff of her getting to go with us on that trip. It kind of sparked her interest back with football. Is there any football? I wanted to just show. I got two other little things, but I'll hit on that. Have y'all had any football games since we talked last week?
Yeah, she actually had a game last night. It was her first loss, but they played a team that was really, really good, and they played good against them. I think we lost maybe 16-0, but it was a good team. And that's who we'll play in the conference championship. But yeah, for those who maybe didn't listen last week, I don't know why you wouldn't have, but if you didn't, my oldest daughter Ella's playing football, and she plays safety, and so she's done okay until this point. I'll say that. It's just taken her some time to get used to the physicality of it. And so I had a conversation with her yesterday before the game, and I told her, look, all right, I'm going to bribe you. I'll give you X amount of money for each tackle. She had like 4 or 5 tackles on the season up till this point. Needless to say, far and away the best she's played last night. She was in on like every tackle. And I told her, I said, look, you're playing football out there like you don't want to play football. She's like, well, sorry, I'm trying. I go, no, you're not trying. That's what I have an issue with. I said, if you don't want to play football, I don't care if you play football. But if you don't want to go play, go sit on the sideline. And so I got to give it up to her, man. She was out there laying the lumber last night and chasing people down. And even one of her coaches said, I told you it would finally click with her. She's like, she was in on every tackle. I said, well, yeah, it finally clicked with her when I bribed her with money.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, He goes, well, she looked like a whole different player tonight.
Yep.
So we took the L, but she
You're just getting ready. You're just getting ready for collegiate sports, Just. Just go ahead. You're teaching her finances early.
Best game. Yeah, right. The NIL deals.
Yeah, right. You're just training them early. That's the training a lot of these young guys and gals don't get when they first get money. So you're training her with a little money.
There you go.
Save it up. You want this? You want to buy mommy something? Use your money to get mommy a gift this year for Christmas.
Yep.
Instead of daddy.
There you go.
So I love it. Well, good job, E. I'm glad I got to see them. They were all kind of zonked out Sunday when I passed through the house. Klein and Ken were in there working on makeup or something. Ella was in bed, and I said, hey, there's South, get off the couch. I think we wore him out finally.
Well, the thing is, Ella had a softball tournament Saturday,
That's
and
right.
they had to get up and leave the house at like 5:30 or 6 o'clock, and they got home at 2:30 a.m.
Wow.
because they played all day and ended up getting second in the tournament.
Yeah, I asked her because your dad had
teams,
mentioned about a girl throwing a change up, and I asked her a tough pitcher, and she said, yeah, pretty tough. But
yeah,
I didn't
championship game
pound her on it. But
championship game, this girl that was pitching against them had a pretty nasty changeup, had them all out on their front foot, and at 11, 12 years old, that's pretty stud stuff.
Yeah.
When you can go out there and throw one 55 mile an hour and then pull the string and throw one 40. Well, these kids haven't seen that kind of.
Right.
That messes up hitters, you and me.
Yeah, for sure.
Hitting.
For sure.
Much less an 11-year-old kid that ain't ever seen it.
God, I had been in the cage in so long, I would be embarrassing myself. I couldn't play the field, but I used to hit okay. But boy, I bet I'd embarrass myself right now if I tried. But anyway, yes.
But yeah.
It's good. I'm sure she'll keep rocking on. We'll keep y'all updated on that as we go along. I had two other little quick things I had here that I picked up off the road. One is Rodney Atkins guitar pick that I picked up. Pretty cool. I got Hot Rod on there with his little logo. Cool. Good to see him. Hopefully have him on as a podcast guest before too long. I love Rodney. Good dude. And the other one, friends of ours that just put some new music out, and I don't have the info up. I saw it this morning, but I didn't get it all written down. I know they're busy right now, starting out a new tour and stuff they're going to do. Is our buddies Muscadine Bloodline. Old Chucky Muncaster here. I got one of his pics last time I saw him, and it's got a picture of the Alabama state flag, so that's pretty cool. Give them guys a shout out.
And we talked to them that day about getting on the podcast as well, so we need to make that happen.
I thought about hitting them up this morning to see if, because we didn't even know how we were going to do the podcast this week, but then I know they were doing a thing last night, and I just thought, well, we probably need to catch up on some other stuff, because supposed to have Parker McCullum come on next week, talk with us for a little while. So hopefully that all works out. It's weird times, even with our stuff. We didn't know we were going to be home today. Who knows what's going to happen by next Tuesday? But that's the plan, and we'll get some of these other guys and gals on to chit chat with us as this season moves on along. We're on episode 33, just chugging on along. Be Halloween, then Thanksgiving, then Christmas, then New Year's.
It's coming up shortly.
I know.
Shortly.
I'm ready for the weather to tip off just another hair and get a little more fall feeling, so I can have a fire outside.
And me and you, maybe we'll connect here in a few days. I think Kate and I and a couple friend of ours are going to head to the beach for a few days for a belated anniversary trip for us. And we haven't been anywhere without the kids in, I don't know, like 3 years. Or something like that. So we thought we'd get away for a few days.
Yeah, well, let me know if y'all do, because we're pretty wide open. We were thinking about some friends of ours are going over to Pensacola to the minor league hockey game Saturday just to get out and do something. But we really don't. Yeah, we just kind of go. I might go out to the new land one day, but yeah, we're just going to try to get caught up. We thought about trying to go back to Homa, or maybe try to go down to see my brother, the Keys, and we're just like, it's my first weekend off. I'd rather just stay around the house. Yeah, well, but yeah, maybe you and I can connect, and as you said, we're looking forward to having Parker McCullum on next week. For those of you out there who are not super familiar with his music, go check it out. Pretty cool stuff. Totally different than anything out there on the radio, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. He's a Texas guy who had a huge record last year called Pretty Heart. Good dude. Yep. And so look forward to having him on. And before we forget, I meant to do this earlier. I want to thank, actually, my wife, she went to her store today and I said, hey, I'm listening to your podcast from last week. She said, man, this wrestler has an incredible story. Oh, yeah. So I want to thank Ken Shamrock for coming on last week. And she, my wife doesn't know anything about MMA or wrestling or fighting, or she really kind of could care less about any of it, to be honest with you. So if she enjoyed that and she thought it was an incredible story, which I agree with her, it was an incredible story. Anybody, even let's say there are a bunch of husbands or boyfriends out here listening and you think, my wife wouldn't care for this. My wife loved it. So yeah, and it's me. She don't love anything I do. So I would encourage, hey, turn your wives and girlfriends onto this podcast as well, because even a guy like Ken Shamrock, who, maybe you wouldn't think your wife would be into something like that, maybe they would be. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I had some friends and people out the woodworks text me and send me messages on social media randomly. Love the Ken Shamrock episode. And I'm thinking, I didn't know you listened to my podcast. So he was just super well spoken and just a really bright guy. You could tell, a really thoughtful guy, and amazing career. It just seemed like a good dude. Just all the really stuff, his journey to get to where he's at and what he's still doing now, and like you said, very articulate and sharp, and just gave us more time than we expected. It was just great to catch up with him for sure, and hopefully we'll get to see him next time we're out there. And another one of our future guests, who we're going to have on. I can't remember what week we've got him on as of now, but it's our old buddy Lee Bryce, our old tour mate Lee Bryce, who did the American Made tour with a few years ago, who's actually got the #1 song in the country this week. So shout out to Team LB. Good for him. Yeah, shout out to Team LB on that, and Philip and all his bunch over here, Enzo, everybody. Good job, gang.
Congrats.
Yep, no doubts. Hopefully.
Yeah, we got him booked at some point. We had to book a lot of these guests just because of tour dates and stuff. Fairly, a fairly substantial ways in the future.
Yeah.
And so we'll obviously let you know as they come about and try to keep you abreast of the situation.
And I know we talked about trying to get some of our other buddies on, even Craig Campbell. We talked about trying to holler at him at some point. And Randy Hauser. I've been trying to get Randy to do this since about season 1, and me and that joker have known each other for damn near 20 years, and he has dodged me like a hail of bullets, buddy. But I've worked him down.
He's probably playing golf.
Oh, of course. He's at a
something.
songwriting thing or a golf thing every week. Hey, and I get it. But Colt Ford is it the same thing? And he answers and responds to me and is always down.
Mm-hmm.
I give you a hard time. I know Randy's got little ones and stuff and all that. But I worked on him long enough, and I wasn't giving up on him. I was just going to wait and hit him at a time when I knew he didn't have nothing going on. So, but I finally said, you know what? I'll do even one better. I'll just tag it over to his manager. So I went. I'm going above the chain of command. I'm going right to the top, and I'm going to make them work their way down to. But then I get back from his manager. Nick texts me back. Yeah, he's got a songwriting thing that week. Anyway, we do this next week. I'm just like, you jokers. So anyway, I'm going to get Randy Howes on this podcast. If he don't come on this season, he's going to be the first guest next year. You mark my words. Shouting that out to the universe. We're going to hashtag Randy Howes on this too. Come on, buddy. We got to talk to you. Ain't seen you in too long. But anyway, I guess that's about all I've got for this week, Just, unless you got anything else you want to wrap up on. I know we talked a little bit about our shows this past week. We might as well talk about the shows coming up. Last week we were in Arkansas for the Boys and Girls Club event. Then we went to 4th Street Live in Louisville. Always a great crowd there. Then Palmyra.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yep, good event in Palmyra for Down syndrome awareness. Glad to do that. Fun. And we're off this weekend like we've talked about, and then coming back out Thursday. I know, right? Thursday, the 21st of October, we've got Atlanta, Georgia. Then the 22nd, Friday night, Huntsville, Alabama. Saturday night in Corbin, Kentucky. So if you hadn't already, go get you some tickets to all those shows. Tell your friends, tell your family. Y'all come on out. It's going to be fun. It's going to be one of the last handful or two of shows we do for the year. Looks like we've actually got those 3. I mean, we've got like 10 shows left, Just. We usually start counting down at a dozen. We just were so busy we didn't even start counting down this year because we'll do those.
Crazy, man.
I know. We'll do those shows: Atlanta the 21st, Huntsville, Alabama the 22nd, Corbin, Kentucky the 23rd, Roanoke, Virginia on the 28th, and Hanover, Maryland on the 29th. You can find all these dates along with ticket information at justinmooremusic.com, as well as interacting with Justin on social media at Justin Cole Moore on Twitter and Instagram. Look for that blue check mark. And you can shout out to me too as well on at jrthehandler.com or at jrthehandler on Twitter and Instagram. Use the hashtag JustinMoorePodcast. I've got links to all of our podcasts and all that stuff, and links to Justin's site on jrthehandler.com as well, with some merch and all that kind of stuff. And actually, I know we talked about it, and I haven't done much on it yet, but I actually talked to our buddy Logan Webb and got my TikTok going finally. So I'm still figuring this out, guys. But if you're on TikTok, same as Twitter and Instagram, at JRTheHandler. Check me out on TikTok. I'll figure it out, and I'll start coming up with some content for that as well. So until then, y'all check JustinMooreMusic.com out. Look for all these dates and ticket information. Hope to see you at a show soon. And thanks, as always, for tuning in to the Justin Moore Podcast. We'll give a shout-out to our sponsors, Bobcat Company. Thank you, guys. Wrangler Jeans, Bangtail Whiskey, Kate's Shop, This Little Piggy. And I want to mention this too. We've talked about it a couple of times on. If anybody's looking for land or real estate in Louisiana or Alabama, you can reach out to me. My wife's a realtor, and she's picking up speed. I know she talked with our buddies Brad and Denise Garrett from St. Louis this morning. They're wanting to get a place down here. And I talked to Ross.
Nice.
I talked to Keith Brown the other day. Keith Brown's over here looking at some property. He's already looked at some property right near where I just bought that land on the Florida line. How random is that?
Well, did you give him Sharice's number?
I give her his number. I said, make it
There you
happen.
go.
Yeah. So anyway, if anybody
Beautiful.
is in that, my wife is a great realtor, works for Keller Williams Company, and she can help you out on that. So come hit me up, and I'll direct you over to her. But I want to say thanks to all those sponsors, because without them, we couldn't afford to keep this thing rolling. Without all you fans listening and tuning in each and every week, it was not worth doing it, because that's why Justin wanted to do it, is to be able to catch up with you guys and get a little insight and have a little fun with us when we're off the road and sometimes when we're on the road. So thanks as always, and we'll be back here next week. for episode 34 of season 3 of the Justin Moore podcast. Until then, I'm JR the Handler, and that's Justin Cole Moore.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.
See y'all.
Hey, guys, today's podcast is sponsored by Bobcat Company. Check them out at bobcat.com.
For any of you first-time listeners out there, at the end of each of our episodes, I like to do a little reading out of a book I've had that I've got a lot of use out of over the years. The book is by Mr. Charlie Daniels, and the book is called Let's All Make the Day Count, The Everyday Wisdom of Charlie Daniels. Unwanted advice. The simple believe anything, but the prudent give thought to their steps. Proverbs 14:15. Do you know folks who consider themselves the world's foremost expert on every subject and give unsolicited advice on any issue that comes up, whether they know anything about it or not? I think we all know somebody like that. They have the answer to every situation and are all too happy to share it without being asked to do so. And just to be truthful, we're all probably guilty of giving unwelcome advice, and to one degree or another. After all, it's one of the biggest temptations. I'm a terrible golfer, but I enjoy the game and I play it occasionally. After hitting an awful shot, I'm still tempted to instruct people I'm playing with how to hit theirs, even after proving I don't know what I'm talking about by knocking my ball in the woods or a pond. What you ought to do, and what I would do, are probably two of the most unwelcome phrases known to man, and most times they are better kept to oneself. Unsolicited advice is about as welcome as a cloud of mosquitoes. Let's all make the day count.